If I don't write it down, it will be forgotten. I'm going to walk you through my quick steps to how I set up my New Year's planner. So we're talking 2026 this year, but this applies to any year if you find this in the future. As a mom, I just simply forget everything. Call it mom brain, call it just like scatterbrain, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to walk you through my way that I set up my planner for the year and how I go through writing down important dates and essentially reminders. For me, reminders are the MVP. Why do I do it this way? I don't want to rely on myself. I want to brain dump, okay? I want to put things in my planner and be able to clear my mind, rest peacefully, and not worry about it until it comes up in my planner. Then I deal with it that day. So what we're going to do first is start with the non-negotiables, or like I typically call them hard dates. They're not going to move. Okay, so this is things like your anniversary, birthdays for, immediate family or outskirt family, whoever you celebrate or you want to send a text message to. I keep a running calendar basically of birthdays, and every year I transfer them into my new paper planner. I'm a paper planner person. We do use digital for our family, but a lot of those digital items I transfer into my paper planner. Okay, so I do both. It works for me. Yes, it can be redundant, but it works for me. So back to the hard dates, anniversaries, birthdays, holidays, like Christmas is Christmas. I don't really need to write it in my planner. It's already marked, but recognizing on Christmas, what do we typically do? Same with any other holiday or annual tradition. Now, you can do different ways to mark this, okay? You could do a certain person in your family is a certain color. You could use some sort of like symbols or stickers. Some planners come with stickers, and you can mark things that way. I've done that before, and it has been very helpful. A way that I've done this is, say, on the day-to-day calendar, I'll put a sticker that says like a star, and that means it's somebody's birthday. I won't necessarily write it on the day because it gets a little cluttery, but then I'll go back to the month spread. Say it's February 5th. I'll go look at February 5th and be like, oh, it's my niece's birthday. Now, one thing I will do for these hard dates, if it's somebody that's going to require a gift, I will go to, say, the beginning of the month list, or even like, say it's February 5th. I don't necessarily want to put that on February 1st as a reminder. It might be a little too close. So what I'll do is go a week before or 2 weeks before, again, depending on what it is, who it is, and write down like purchase gift. Could be for a birthday party, could be for an anniversary. All right, and purchasing gift could be something in store. It could be just getting on Amazon, which is pretty quick. The next thing that I'm gonna mark are things that are hard dates, but not a hard date every year. So if you got invited to a wedding and you're for sure going to attend, that is a hard date. It's not something you can reschedule. It's not under your control. Okay, it's not gonna go on your calendar every year though. So this is like the next tier of hard dates. So a wedding, I'm gonna write down all the wedding details. I might take a picture of the invite or, still put it on the fridge and have that available. But write down the essential details on that date, and then go a week ahead and write down like gift for wedding. And then, is this a destination wedding? Do you need to make plans for where you're staying? Maybe you go 2 months in front of that and write down like book an Airbnb or something like that. Maybe make sure you have an outfit appropriate for this wedding. It could be a wedding where only adults go and you need to hire a babysitter or work out who's gonna watch your kids. These are all the details that are nice to put in advance and in your planner as a reminder or a to-do. So some of these other secondary hard dates, family events that you maybe know, and this might be something you have to add throughout the year. It could be something like the school schedule. So when you get that school schedule or like a sports schedule, fill out all the practices, fill out all the games. If you are responsible for like a snack for one of those teams or for the school, mark down as soon as you know when you're responsible for snack. Go a week before that and write down your reminder. All right, I know it's a lot of work to do this, but for me at least, in my mom brain, I need the reminders. I can't have things sneaking up on me. So when it comes to the school and sports schedules, you want the start date, the end date, you want any parties if they're listed, any days off of school, early release, late start. It takes a little time up front, but it is well worth it. Next, I like to encourage you to put in your vacations and planning of trips. So I recommend doing these things pretty quickly after the hard dates, because otherwise your calendar is gonna get full and you won't plan any trips. Obviously, we wanna stay in budget. If trips are not on the market for you right now, go ahead and skip over this part. But when it comes to trips, let's look at our schedule and where we have that space. We want to plan the trip. Now, where we want to schedule that trip. We are gonna need to book it. We are gonna need to potentially do some shopping. Maybe it's a beach trip and it's February. Do you need swimsuits, towels, sunscreen, a packing list? It could be making sure that you or your spouse goes ahead and puts in for PTO or time off. With this, it can be packing reminders, it can be planning reminders, such as Ubering to the airport, flights, tickets, booking where you're gonna stay in the accommodations. It could be pet sitting. It could be somebody to check on your home, a reminder to stop your mail if it's a long trip. There's so many things, and this is your time to start making lists. And the list might not go in your planner, but maybe even in your planner a month ahead, write down, start working on packing list for vacation. You can remind yourself to plan. You can remind yourself to make a list. I know this sounds crazy, but for me, it works. Now, we have the hard date, the schedules, the vacation. Now we're gonna fill in. All right, so these dates might not be something you can book out in January, but maybe you can. I have some appointments that are flexible appointments, but they have to get done. My engagement ring and just all my rings, they have to get cleaned every 6 months. So actually what I do, this might sound kind of crazy, is I don't do twice a year, I do 3 times a year so that I'm not pushing it and getting too close to the date. And I also don't want like around New Year's for me to not know, ooh, how many months has it been? So typically I'll shoot for getting it cleaned sometime around February. And then I'll shoot for a time maybe around like June or July. And then I'll shoot for maybe October, November. So that way that the next year I'm not like cutting it close, feeling behind. Other appointments, I got LASIK done. Every year I have to get 1 eye appointment in to keep the like warranty on my eyes essentially. And I always plan that for the spring because that's when I had my surgery. So I can book that. I can book that in January. And then when it comes to children as well as yourself, doctor's appointments, just wellness visits, and dentist appointments, you can book all those out in January. Okay, take a minute, sit down and plan them out. Now, you might have to adjust them later and that's okay, but at least getting them on the books is a good start. Obviously, if you know where you're at in life and you know your schedule, like does AM work, does afternoon work, do your best and adjust as needed in the future. So with this, what I typically like to do is, depending on the appointment, write a reminder a week ahead of time or 2 weeks ahead of time, just saying like, reminder, this is upcoming. On my ring, I really don't need a reminder. It takes nothing to get that done. On my kids' dentist and doctor appointments, I might want to look a little bit ahead of time and check that appointment, look at their current schedule, sports, school, whatever we're currently in, and see if that appointment's going to work with like my schedule or my husband's schedule as well. So basically we want to have a quick reminder of like, hey, did we schedule that at the right time? Let's make sure. And then again, throughout the year, there's gonna be all these little things that come up. Okay, maybe a field trip form comes in with your kids and it needs to get filled out and sent back within a week. Honestly, in my opinion, there's some things that don't need to go in your planner. You just need to do them. It's like a one-touch thing. Okay, versus putting that paper on the counter and having to touch it again later and deal with it. If possible, make it a one-touch and be like, okay, they need $10, put it in an envelope, send it back to school, and fill out the form, whatever you needed to do. If you need to then, at that point, the task part of it is done, but on your planner, oh, they need a sack lunch that day. Write down that whatever that Wednesday, Thursday is, pack a sack lunch for whatever your child's name is. Okay, so that's how it works. We don't need to necessarily put in our planner, like, fill out permission slip field trip form. Just do the thing. Sometimes it's better to just do the thing. You know, it really does depend. Like, maybe on a wedding, you need to RSVP, but you're not ready to, okay, in your planner, write down you need to RSVP once you have decided if you are going to attend. So certain things need to be a one-touch get her done. Other things need those reminders. So as a mom, I think it's incredibly important to set up reminders in our planner. I think that is the key to success. I think you need to look, like on the first of the month, look at that full month. Look at that full month spread. What is going on? Maybe flip through the 4 pages that it takes to get through that month. Check it out. And then maybe when you're about halfway through the month, go ahead and flip to that next month and say, what's on the first week of next month? Because I don't want it to surprise me. I don't want it to sneak up on me. Again, look for those reminders. This is just a way to keep ahead of things. I really hate feeling behind. It really, really bothers me. This year, my Christmas cards, I was pushing it on getting my Christmas cards out on time. And it bothered me and it really annoyed me. And I'm like, next year I'm gonna do better. Next year, mid-November, I'm printing those suckers off and getting them addressed and stamped and ready to go. And man, December 1st, even November 28th, 29th, those are going in the mail. Do better, and I want to do better. Every year, that is the goal. All right, so reminders are a really key factor in that. Like next year, for example, my 2026 planner, honestly, October 1st, I'm gonna start working on Christmas card. And then November 1st, I'm gonna write it as well. And I don't wanna do too many reminders and ignore them. It's kind of like setting 5 alarms and constantly hitting snooze. It's not the best thing, but sometimes it helps you get on track and get going and get the thought in your head, like, okay, this is coming up. What steps do I need to take? I recently saw somebody on, I think, a YouTube video, and they were talking about how sometimes a task isn't just like a one check, it's actually a project. I want to say it was Amy something, so credit to her, but I don't remember her last name. But take Christmas cards, for example. It's not just send out Christmas cards, check. First it is, pick which pictures you want on the Christmas card. Pick the Christmas card you want from Shutterfly or Walmart, pick like the layout. Get the Christmas cards delivered to your home, find all your addresses, double check your addresses because somebody moved or somebody passed away, things like that. Get those address labels printed, make sure you have stamps, and then do you have address labels for your address for the return label? Then put them all together, send them out, check mark. It's a project, it's a mini project. And I know that sounds dramatic, but it's like true. If you put Christmas card on your list and you haven't even picked the pictures yet, you're never gonna get it checked off in a day. It's not a one-day task. it's a multiple day project, and that's okay. But let's be specific on what that task is at that moment so we can get the credit for getting that part done. With this method of reminders and a paper planner, you can do it digitally. It's up to you what planner you use. You use what you like, but you're gonna have less mental clutter. You're gonna have less things that you feel like you need to remember because the paper is gonna do the work for you. I encourage you to trust your planner, not your memory. So go ahead, get that planner, get started on it. It's okay if it's messy. It's okay if it's sloppy. I'm not here for pretty and perfection. I'm here for practical and purposeful. So are you a fan of reminders or relying on your memory? Are you a paper or digital planner? I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it encouraged you to get started on your 2026 or future year planner and make it work for you, mama. Make it work for your busy mom life. All right, if you want to check out other videos on my channel, I welcome you to do so. I talk motherhood, children, and a lot about saving money and living thrifty. See you in one of those videos. Until then, have a great day.